I got this email from Ricardo in Sweden, who's moving to India for work, and he's feeling a bit nervous about it. I know exactly how he feels. The first time I came to India, I had that exact same nervous and excited feeling. And I think most foreigners that come here to live have similar feelings. And these feelings come from the Western media. Their coverage of India is not exactly positive. More often than not, they're only covering the negative sides of India. So that's how we start perceiving India. Being bombarded with those negative messages about India makes us naturally nervous about traveling there. But the truth is, bad things happen in every city, and whenever you're relocating to a new city, you have to be careful. Whenever you're in a new city, you have to be careful. You have to learn the local ways and learn how things work in a city, because they're all different. So there's a bunch of stuff outside the scope of this video which you need to travel safely and confidently in India. Things like how to avoid scammers, how to bargain, food safety basics, how to deal with pollution, and street smart safety. Learning this stuff is the easy part. And that's why I wrote a book on it, the India Survival Guide, available at indiasurvivalguide.com. For men, this is important, but for women, this is vital. Being a foreign woman in India is more challenging because you're going to get a lot more attention here. And you need to learn how to deal with that attention and be fierce about telling people to get lost. So my first point is, forget a lot of what the media has told you about India. This is a country of 1.5 billion people. You've got the best and the worst of humanity here, but unfortunately the media likes to focus on the worst. So don't worry about the bad, it's manageable. What I found was the most important part to finding the beauty in India, or any country that you relocate to, is to integrate into their culture and their way of living, to become a local. My belief is that when you move to another country, you have to do as locals do. It's that old saying, when in Rome, do as Romans do. When people immigrate to our countries, we expect them to speak English, or in Ricardo's case, Swedish, and to fit in. So it's no different when we come to live in India. The problem for foreigners is that it's really easy to be lazy here and to not make that effort to integrate. You can get by only speaking English, you can live in a gated community, have a private driver, a cook, you can have a maid who does the shopping, and you can only hang out with the 1% crowd. You can just go home and go to work and live in your little bubble and never really experience India or Indian people. And if you're going to be like that, I don't think you're going to enjoy India that much. You're going to find a lot of things to complain about, which is why it's so important to adapt here. If you want to thrive and really enjoy India, you have to embrace and embody that when in Rome ethos. That means you have to adapt and be open-minded and willing to learn as well, actually. And ultimately, what's going to happen is that you're going to be appreciated and accepted by the locals. They're going to notice your effort. And then what happens is Indian life and culture begins to change a little part of you. And things you learn here, you'll take back with you to your country and they'll stick with you for life. And there are 4 main things I did to fit into Indian culture. Before I came, I started exposing myself to Indian news and culture. Then I started learning the local language. And then when I got here, I immediately started making friends and adapting to the way of life here. So before you go to India, start by exposing yourself to their culture. Start by reading an Indian newspaper like the Indian Express or the Hindu. Watch a few Bollywood movies with subtitles too. And Slumdog Millionaire doesn't count. It's not really a Bollywood movie. I've put a link in the description with what Bollywood movies to start with. After you've watched a few Bollywood movies, you'll have heard a bit of the Hindi language. And this point is the most important. Language connects people. You can't connect with Indians without the local language. And by all Indians, I mean everyone including the non-English speakers, the fruit and veg seller, the small shop owners, the Uber driver. All these people speak very little English. Only 12% of Indians speak English, compared to 52% of Indians who speak Hindi. So in North India, everybody speaks Hindi. You're not going to have a problem finding a Hindi speaker, but you will have a problem finding an English speaker. If you're moving to South India, then find out what the local language of that state is and learn a few words of that. The video of me speaking Haryanvi in Haryana really demonstrates this point of language connecting people. राम राम जी।
हेलो रानम, हाउ यू?
क्या हाल चाल?
बढ़िया बढ़िया।
अच्छा जी,
थैंक यू सो मच ब्रो।
धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद, बहुत अच्छा लगा मिलके।
हाँ, थैंक यू।
मिलते रहें।
अच्छा, बाय।
ओके बाय।
At a minimum, as a tourist, you should learn the basic greetings and how to ask people how they are. Follow me on Instagram because I'll be posting a video sometime teaching the basics of Hindi. If you're going to be in India long term, then take it up a level and start taking a weekly Hindi class. This man's comment on my video really sums it up nicely. So instead of having your maid buy your vegetables, your milk, or whatever else, you go to the street sellers yourself and order in Hindi and get to know them. Memorize their name, ask them how their kids are. The smiles on their faces alone will be worth the effort. And now you're not just another foreigner in India, you're someone making an effort to fit in. Can you hear this guy yelling in the background? He's yelling, Kabade. And it's like, he's the plastic seller. You can take your plastics to him and he'll recycle them. He's the recycling guy, actually. And he'll give you 10 or 20 rupees for a big plastic bucket or something. Indian people are really warm and hospitable, so make friends here. These friends will take you under their wings and introduce you to more people. They'll invite you to cultural events and festivals. So basically, they're going to be the ones who teach you all about life and culture in India. You can make friends at work, or another way I found was to join a local interest group. So a friend and I joined an off-roading motorcycle group who went on rides for amazing villages in Haryana every weekend. Joining these groups is a super easy way to make friends with similar interests. Then you can also share some of your culture with your new Indian friends too. You could put on a traditional Swedish dinner or screen a Swedish movie at your home. That way you'll both be learning from each other. When I first arrived in India, I'd lay there in that dark hotel room and there'd always be a hanging wall clock. But it wasn't a silent digital clock, it was always a plastic clock which made a really loud tick. So at night, all I could hear was that tick in my head as I tried to sleep. So every hotel room I go to, I'd end up removing the batteries from these clocks. And then you have the noise from animals and other people to deal with too while you're trying to sleep. The watchman in your housing society will walk around with a big stick and smack it on the ground and blow their whistle repeatedly throughout the night to apparently scare away any intruders. Pigeons will sit on your AC and do whatever the hell they do. I don't know what they're doing out there, but they're damn noisy. And then in the morning you have all sorts of people yelling things outside your room, as you heard before in this video. In the early days, I'd wonder if it was possible at all to sleep solidly throughout the night, like I did back home. Back home, sleeping is more akin to sleeping in an Indian village where there's complete silence at night. So I could fight the noise by doing all I could each night to block the noise out, or I could adapt. So I started laying there at night with all the noise around me. The first few nights it took maybe an hour to fall asleep. And I still woke up when the guard was blowing his whistle at 1 a.m. But it gradually lessened. I began to adapt to the sounds around me. I began to get used to the sounds around me. And after a month, I'd adapted and I could basically sleep anywhere and at any time, and whether it was quiet or noisy. So moving to India, you will have small daily challenges like this, but don't fight them. The best way to deal with them is to adapt. And I think one of the things about adaptability is it makes you less stubborn as well. So I'm not complaining about the noise anymore. I'm just getting on with it. And this all means you need to get out of your comfort zone in India. You need to put in some effort. Get out of your gated community and explore the streets where the locals are. Don't take a private driver everywhere. Take the metro, take rickshaws, take Uber. Dress down and put on your walking shoes and really explore your city. Around every corner you'll find something incredible in India, and that's one of the things that makes India such a great place to travel to. Integrating into a society takes time and energy. It requires you to be open-minded, eager to learn, and to get out of your comfort zone. But the benefits are going to be immense. India is going to change you, and it's going to be an experience that you will cherish when you finally return home. You'll look back and you'll go, wow, that was a great time in my life living in a great country, such a different and exotic country. So embrace life as an Indian, be persistent, and don't give up. And perhaps I'll see you in India sometime, Ricardo.